Hi folks, this is Rose from In Rose's Garden, and today we are going to work on a rather simple fairy dust necklace. They're easy to make, though there are many steps because quite a few pieces have to be glued. So let's turn down and I'll show you what I'm working on. Okay, here are our parts. We have one eye pin. This is going to hook the fairy on, and then our bead strand, which is right here. Most of the pieces that we're going to use. The bail is going to hook our jar onto our chain, which I haven't got out yet. Excuse me. We're going to glue this pair of leaves and this little leaf onto the bottle, because this is the leaf fairy dust necklace. So then we're going to take these jump rings. One's going to hook the bottle to the bail, and two of them come down this side to hook the fairy dust strand on. And how we're going to do that is we're going to put one of these like here, a spacer, the maple leaf, a spacer, and the other leaf, and she's going to hang down at the bottom of that. So the first thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to get the glitter into the little bottle, and I'm using 3 different colors of green so that we have quite a bit of variation. And the first thing is just choosing how you want your green to go in, and I think I'm just going to go with this dark green, and then the olivey green, and then the fluorescent. So since I've got 3 colors, I'm going to want about 1/3 of the bottle filled with the first color, and so on and so on. Now this settles, so you need to tap it down to see that you've got the right amount. So I've got the dark green in so far, and I've tapped it down. Let's move all this stuff to the side so it's not getting in our way. And you will get glitter all over the place. I will warn you of that. It's not something that you can keep in just one sturdy spot. It won't work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this bin, and we're going to put our bottle in here along with the other 2 glitters we need to put in. And then I'm going to find either a really fine little spoon or one of the bead shovels, and we're going to shovel some of this into this bottle. So I've got my little shovel, and we're going to open up this. You're going to find it's going to be right at the top, and it's going to be sort of messy. So what we want to do is just get a little bit and into the bottle. And you'll notice I'm holding my little bottle over the top of our glitter bottle so that hopefully the glitter goes more into the bottle or back into its original bottle rather than in the tray I've put it in. Not quite what we need yet. But we're getting there. I think I could have put a little bit more of the dark green in. Maybe I'll put a little bit of the dark green on the very top. So let's close this one up. I think we're done with it for now. And we'll open up our green. Now this has a shaker top, but you need to take it off because, well, let's face it, you can't shake this into this tiny bottle. It just doesn't work. It's hard enough to do it this way because this is such a small bottle that we have to shake it out into our spoon and then put it in, which means this is going to get more in the tray than in the bottle. probably have about half of what we want in there now. And I'm doing pretty good about keeping it into the other bottle. Oh, that time it didn't go in hardly at all. Now this is, of course, our fairy dust, which is what we want for our fairy dust necklace. Now I think that I've got as much of the bright green as I do of the teal green, so we're going to stop with this and we're just going to put more of the dark green in. So let's get this one closed up. And we don't need the shovel anymore. The other will come out on its own, so we'll sort of brush this glitter off of here as best we can. And then we're going to again put some of the dark green glitter in. Now you want to fill this all the way to the top of the bottle, even though you need to get the cork in, because once you pop it down a little bit, you'll see it settles quite a bit. So I think we're done getting the glitter in. Where'd I put the cork? There it is. So now what we need to do, because we have all our glitter in, is we need to close it up. So we'll get out some E6000. Here we go with my E6000. Well, if I can get it open. Never fails to drip down on the threads and then it doesn't want to open again. Oh, come on, baby. Okay, once you get this open, you can see it's already starting to come out. So you want to get it around the edge of the glass bottle as fast as you can. And then we'll close this up for right now. But before we drive the cork down, we want this little eye screw out of here, because we have to glue it too so that it doesn't come out of the cork later. So push it down as far as you can into there. And then we'll open this glue up just long enough to get a drop on the screws of our little screw here. And then it's going to just go back down in there, but first we want to get this closed because it's dripping the glue out still. We'll put that aside. We'll need it later because we're going to need it to put on our little leaves onto the bottle. Let's screw this back in now with our E6000 on it, and that will set the little screw in place as well. So now this little guy has to glue for a while before, we've already glued it. It has to dry for a while before we can put the little leaves on. We don't want to have a lot of glue and they're all over the place. So we'll sit this aside for a little while. And now we're going to work on putting our bead strand together. These guys over here, we don't need them quite yet. Because these are what goes on the bottle to decorate the bottle, and we won't need our jump rings yet either. So what I need is to get this little bit of glue off my fingers. So what we're going to do now is we're going to make our bead strand just as soon as I put the glitter away. Okay, I've got our beads, our little bottle right here in a little tray. Oops, don't fall over, you have to dry. And I'm going to put the other pieces in with it. Now what we're going to do is, like I say, is we're going to make this a little bead strand. So this, we're going to open up this eye pin here. And we're going to put our fairy on. Close her up. Now first we want one of these green leaves here. Then one of these little spacers, our maple leaf, spacer, and the other green leaf. So there we are. There is our green leaf fairy. Now what we need to do is just do a wrapped loop at the top. So I do our 90-degree bend, get our bell making pliers out and wrap her around, drop her down, bring her around, and make sure she's good and straight. She looks a teeny bit crooked, so we'll straighten her there. And we'll take our pliers, grab hold, and wrap this baby up. Cut off the excess. Now I put my finger there, or I try to put my finger always at the top when I'm cutting something like that to because, well, they go flying, the pieces do, so you don't want to get hit with one, so if you put your finger there it will stop it. Now see, here is our, come on you guys, twist around so that your fairy is sitting straight. Okay, so there is our beaded strand. Now this will go down the side of the bottle. We'll hang it with jump rings to that ring that we glued in, and she'll hang down like this, so there is our leaf bead strand, our leaf bottle, and we have to put our pieces onto our leaf bottle, and those have to be glued on, and they will have to be formed. See how it's sticking up? This one's really simple. It's got a really thin piece in the middle, so it forms pretty good, relatively fast. We will still have to take some pliers, because it bent just straight there, and take the little bit of leaf at the bottom and just bend her over a little bit. And we'll do the same with the other side. And now we're going to see how it sits on the bottle now. As you can see, now it sits more evenly, but it still needs a little bit more bend. That bend in the middle is quite a 90 degree, is just a straight bend instead of a rounded bend, so it doesn't quite round the leaves out as much as we need them to. So we're going to just carefully take and again bend our leaf a little bit, and now see it's bending in the middle again. We don't want that, so we want the leaf itself to bend. So now when I push down, that leaf is sitting pretty good. This leaf is sitting pretty good. So these leaves, once this dries a little more and I decide to put the leaves on, are going to sit just like this, and they're going to glue down. And then we're going to take this other tiny little leaf that's down in here. Where'd you go? There it is. And it's just going to sit right above it like this. See? So we're going to let those sit for a little while till she dries some more, and in the meantime we're going to make her chain. Use this silver chain. We're going to need 18 inches. I always make the fairy dust necklaces 18 inches because that way they're comfortable for an adult, but they're not atrociously long for a child. So there's about 16. And now we need to put a jump ring and a lobster claw on. Now I'm going to test this lobster claw before I hook it up, because sometimes the spring is not working quite right and it won't close properly. So I just flick it a couple of times to see if it's working. This one is working fine. So we're going to take this smaller jump ring, open it up, put it on one side of our chain with our lobster claw, and then put the large one on the other side. But first, because I'm not sure if the bail will slide through the jump rings, it might, because it's a pretty good sized hole on this bell. We're going to open this up and put this on. See if it will fall through. Yeah, it will fall through. So we could have not bothered to put the bail on the chain yet. So the chain is done. I may see if I can find a smaller hole bail so that it doesn't slide off, the whole thing doesn't slide off later. Got a couple of different bails. This one has a little Celtic pattern on it. This one is just more like a barrel. We're going to take this jump ring undone. Now, I don't want to undo it more than a couple of times because you weaken them as you undo them and close them back up. So we'll just take it off this one time and take this bell off. We're not going to use it. And then we're going to decide, do we want to use this one? This has got a perfectly good hole. It'll go through easily. This one has a smaller hole, so this is the test. Will it go through this one easily? It goes through, but not easily. See how it grabs at it? It still could, but I'd rather use the other one, which has a, see, it got stuck right there. The hole is just big enough for the chain, but not comfortably big enough. So we're going to use this bail. So it slides on carefully, but it won't go through this, I'm fairly positive. So back on with our no, see, she doesn't slide off anymore, which is good because we don't want our bottle and bead strand to fall off, especially not our bottle, since that's a little glass bottle. If it were to hit something hard on the way down, like the floor, it could break. So we don't want to break our bottle, so this is a much better bail. Now this could sit for a little while longer, but I really don't think it needs to, so I'm going to get out my silicone mat, put our chain in here with them, and we're going to glue on our two little. I'm using the silicone mat because in case I make a mess, I don't have to worry so much about getting it on my bead mat, because the glue doesn't stick to it so much. So we're going to pull it out here. We're going to take our glue, get our little bottle. We want it to be straight up to the ring so that it stays more or less in the front. So we'll put our little bottle down. We'll get our pieces out that we need to glue. All right, little leaf, there it is. And we're going to glue those on. Now this is going to make a slight mess because the glue wants to gush out the sides. And if you don't want glue on your fingers, I would advise a pair of medical gloves. Oh, I already got it in the wrong spot. See, I've got it on the side as opposed to the front. So we need to move that. Bing. And we'll wipe this excess glue off, though we will have to pull it off some with a pair of tweezers as it dries a little bit so that it doesn't look tacky. Down you go, little one. Now this one, I did not bend it all, and I probably should have. See how it's sticking up that a little bit there? So actually, since I glued it in the wrong spot anyway, I'm going to open it up and I'm going to carefully take hold with my pliers and bend it over just a little bit. And it's going to sit quite a bit better, I think. It could even bend a little more, but I think it's going to be all right. Make sure you put it straight this time, Rose. You're going to have to pull glue as it is. So we take our little, I'm sticking to my finger here. Take our little leaf now and again put some glue on it. And this time I shall try to remember to put it right where I want it, which is right there. Okay, see, it's right up and down to the little thing there. So the next thing is this pair of leaves. So we're going to put glue on either leaf, like so. Now we're going to close this up because this is the last we should need this unless we really buggered it up and I have to pull it off again. So put that aside, bring our bottle in and drop this set of leaves right where we want it. See there? So now these need to dry for a while. So we'll set this aside down on in the little tray with a jump ring on it to keep it from rolling too much. And now we're going to set this aside, and we have to wait about 15-20 minutes before we can proceed. So let's put this aside there. We won't need the silicone mat anymore, and we'll be back in a few minutes. Okay, hopefully we've let it sit long enough to be able to dry so that we can pick out any excess glue and we can put it together. Now, when you have excess glue, like when I did this, you can usually get hold of it with a pair of tweezers and pull it off. You'll notice I ran my finger over it to push it into one spot more easily to pull it off. This has a big glob right here that needs to be, see how it's getting, you can see it right there now since I pushed on it. I need to get hold of it and pull it out. There we go, got that. Now if you let the bottle dry like 20 minutes or so, this is a relatively easy thing to do. But if you don't let it sit for a while, it will try to come off in a sticky glob, and that's not easy. But if you let it dry too long, it won't come off at all. It's pretty well permanent once it's stuck in there good. It feels like I have something here on the back too. Oh, that came off relatively easily. So there we are. There is our bottle with our leaves and our green glitter glue. So how we put this together now, so we have our bead strand, we have our chain with our bell, and we have our 3 little jump rings. So we're going to want to open our jump rings. If I'd thought about it, I could have put the one jump ring onto the fairy strand prior to closing the wrap up, and because it doesn't need to open more than once. So then the second one goes on here, and then it goes through the ring. Come on, you. And having two on there allows the bead strand to come down the side like so. So now we take the last jump ring, we go through the ring again, but above that so it's not hanging it up, and then through the bell. Oh, come on, baby, don't argue with me. Close it up. Now that left a gap, so we're not going to want that gap. So I'm going to get in here carefully with both sides, and I'm going to hold both sides, and then with slight forward pressure, you move it until you feel it scrape together, or you hear it, because it does sometimes make a sound. And there we go. She's done. Now I just have to let it sit and dry for that 24 hours, and then it's ready to go on to my cell table. Isn't that cute? Oops, my fairy got twisted. There she goes. So there is our leaves fairy dust necklace. So there we go. There's our leaves fairy dust necklace with our little fairy, our leaves, our bottle of fairy dust glitter with the glued on leaves onto the bottle. And then of course our 18-inch chain with the large jump ring and lobster claw as a closure. So, hope you enjoyed making this little endeavor with me. This has been Rose from In Rose's Garden, and we'll see you next time. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.